Welcome back to the Father's Advocate. I'm your host, the Father's Advocate, and the Bulldog Attorney fighting for justice. Today, I am joined by three wonderful fathers who will be discussing the beauty, the treasure, and the mystique of Black fatherhood. This is our second installment on the topic of dismantling the negative stereotypes of Black fatherhood. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves to you, and we're going to ask some questions. Okay, starting with you, Mr. Bryan. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself or introduce yourself?
Morning again. My name is Philip Bryan. I'm a retired vet, Army vet. I'm also in real estate in Atlanta. I am a Black father of two. I have a university scholar and also a elementary scholar. Um, we're here to debunk the whole theory of Black fathers not being involved, and I'm very happy to be a part of this.
Okay, and Darren Color, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Darren Color. Father of three. I'm a truck driver. Um, Love spending time with the kids. Darren love the kids. But I mean, yeah, it's just it's pretty much a truck driver. Um, Father of three.
I'm gonna add your comedian as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Cameron, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, good morning. Again, my name is Cameron Hawkins. I am the CEO and managing partner of the Law Office of Cameron Hawkins. I also serve as a juvenile court judge in DeKalb County. So I am also a husband, like I said, an attorney, a business owner, but most importantly, I am a father, father of two little girls. And fatherhood, of all those roles and the things I do, fatherhood is the one that shaped me the most. So I'm really excited to be here and looking forward to our discussion.
Okay. Alrighty. And again, for you guys that are listening or watching, wherever it is, this is an exciting topic because it is our second installment. And we're really going to talk about the beauty of being Black fathers because we hear so often about negative stereotypes, but rarely do we hear about the beauty of Black fathers. And I want to know because I believe it exists. So, the first question I'm going to pose to you guys is how old were you when you became fathers? And were either of you guys married at the time? Either one of
So
you can
I'll
answer.
go. Yeah, I'll
I'll
go
go first.
first.
Okay.
So I was 24 when I had my first child, and I was married at the time. Um, so yeah,
Okay.
the second part of the question, what was the second part of the question?
Were you married? And you said you were.
Yeah, I was married. Yeah.
And I guess there's a third part. Are you still married?
So the third part, I'm not married. Life happens. People grow apart. People have different interests. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. Either one of you, other gentlemen, other fathers? I
Got
can
the
ask the
question.
question again.
No, yeah, ask the question again. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, that's what got me too.
Okay. How old were you when you became a father? Were you married and are you still married?
Okay, so I was 20. Hold on. Oof, 26, I want to say, when I guess I could say became a father to my son, then actually 27 when my daughter was born, our eldest daughter was born. And we weren't married until after my eldest daughter was born. We are still married now, 17 years, and hopefully counting with no problems. You know, um, like I said, knowing each other since high school, so many years knowing each other. So yes, all right.
Okay. And then Cameron?
Yep. So I was the OG of the group. I was 34 when I had my baby girl. Um, And similar to Brother Darren, I dated my wife in middle school actually. But she was ultimately my college sweetheart. We moved, she moved to Georgia. I was still in Iowa. And we reconnected when I was at Morehouse and she was at Morris Brown. So I was 34 years old, my first daughter. Yes, I was married at the time. And yes, we are still married. I just celebrated our 10-year anniversary.
All right. Okay. I want to just pivot and say Black fathers do get married. Oh my God. That is not it's not something that's strange. Okay, did either of you guys grow up with your father in the household? Or did you have male role models to kind of teach you how to be fathers?
Well, I grew up with our father in the house. And I will say I did have other role models beside my father, but I mainly did listen to my father because it was his house, his rules. I had to stay with him. I ain't stay with everybody else that wanted to give you guidance and stuff. Do this, do that. So but I had other role models, especially in my neighborhood. When being born in '81, young. Everybody was much older than me, but I always gravitated towards talking to older people anyway to get guidance. Because one thing my daddy did teach me, you gotta. Let me say, hold on. Hold on, wait. I gotta follow in your footsteps, pretty much. It's like my daddy did the same. I'm doing the same. It just different times, but you gonna live and learn. And when you live, you're supposed to be learning all at the same time. So I always took that from him because one situation gonna be different than the other, but you're still supposed to learn from it. So that's what my dad always taught me. So yeah, so it was good having him in the house. All right.
Okay. Either one of you other guys?
Well, pretty much I grew up with my father. Um, in like I'm Jamaican, so my culture is growing up. I used to always see other kids with their parent or mother and father within the household. For me, so yes, I did grow up with both parents, mom and dad.
Okay. Cameron?
Yep, same with me. I grew up with my father, um, and he did not though. My father did not grow up with his father, and so I'm incredibly grateful that my dad was the one who made the switch, and was present in my entire life. And with regard to other male role models, yes, my maternal grandfather, my mom's dad, they were married for 75, 76 years. And so so I always grew up even with marriages that spanned back, to the 1930s and 1940s. So yep, I grew up with them, grew up with role models, and I'm so grateful for it.
Okay. And so the idea that fathers don't know their fathers is a myth, right? Would y'all say that?
Definitely.
100% true on this call.
Yes,
You said on
yes.
this.
Definitely.
Would you say that most of the men in your life also kind of grew up the same way?
I'd love to jump on that. So
Yep.
yes, sure would. And I think that, again, my mom, one of 10, my dad, one of nine. And so certainly while I understand where some of those stereotypes and stuff may come from, but this idea that it's some holistic blanket is just not true. And kind of what I want to chime out again, I always shout out my alma mater, went to Morehouse College. And so I was around my whole like fin group was nothing but black men, and all of the black men I can think of, all my fraternity brothers, all my classmates, all the ones I can think of are either married, to black women for the most part, and are fathers to their children. And even the ones who aren't married are still very active in their children's lives. So my whole ecosystem around me, all I know and all I see 100% is brothers who are married and taking care of their kids.
Okay.
To piggyback on what he said, my dad and my mom, they grew up with their parents. And also for their parents, their fathers were also within the household. For me, it was kind of culture shock. Like when I came to the United States and I was in the army, and one of the drill sergeants made a joke. Oh, I bet you don't know who your daddy is. And I was like, what is he talking about? So for me, that's the first time I was really exposed to something like that.
Um, how has being a father changed either one of your life, or has it changed?
It definitely has.
How's
And how it has is, when you were younger, and like they say, when you're younger, you do childish things, but when you have responsibilities, your focus has to shift. And for me, growing up and becoming a father, I knew that I had to do things now, not just for myself, but also for the survival of my kids. So for me, I realized that if I used to want to sleep a little longer, I can't do that anymore. I have to get up, ensure that everything is in place for the kids, and ensure that they have everything that they need. It's not about me anymore.
Well, for me, it didn't really change because I was always ignorant and stupid anyway. Plain comedian like. So I know people say you can't be friends with your children. I agree with that and disagree because simple fact, like I'll be honest, I didn't figure out my dad was funny or had a funny side to him until I was older. But I also knew not to try my daddy. So with my kids, I wanted to be a little different, I still have fun. I mean, stuff did change though. Of course, it wasn't I was just taking care of myself anymore. So I had to cut back on spending this and that, make sure bills were paid, this and that. Because in my house, I never grew up with anything getting turned off. The only thing got turned off in my house was illegal cable. That's it. But going hungry, no food, no water, no power, never went through that. So I knew as me, coming along then having my kids, I gotta do the same. I can't let them go hungry or we cold. I can't do all that. So yeah, but I didn't change though. Like I said, I still like to have fun. My kids know I like to have fun. I aggravate them, chase them around the house, do all kind of stupid stuff. So I changed, but not that much. I still wanted to be myself.
okay? So I want to know if you all believe that the topic of Black fatherhood is even worth discussing. And the reason why I ask that is because I have talked to a lot of dads, and some dads say it is it's nothing to necessarily be put on a pedestal, but we do hear about it. So, as Black fathers, is this a topic worth discussing? Why or why not? Either one
I
can
think
talk.
it is, yeah, I think it's definitely a topic to discuss. And the reason I say that is because sometimes as a dad, I realize that fathers have challenges. And when I say they have challenges, is simple things like I remember once I sent an email to a teacher asking her for the passcode and the login so I could get my daughter to do some work at home. The next thing I know is my co-parent was reaching out to me with the information. And I was kind of lost because I'm like, why is it that I requested the information, but everything has to go through her in order for me to get it? And I'm a full capable parent too. And I noticed even when you go to the doctors too, it's the same thing. They'll say, hey, if they have a question, they turn in, look into mom. And hey, I'm a full capable parent too. Like, why is it that we don't recognize dads as also a functioning parent? So for me, I think it's worth discussing.
So, would you say that dads are discriminated against?
Very much so. Very much
Oh
so.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, I saw Cameron shake his head, but Darren, you just said, "Oh yeah." Can you expound on that a bit?
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. They so used to us, I ain't saying us, but thinking that we're not gonna be around or that we don't care. At the end of the day, I'll be honest. Do I 100% know everything doctor appointments, this and that. No, I don't make it. I am concerned about my kids though, but at the same time, I will say it was because of the job that I had before, driving trucks over the road. I wasn't there. My wife took care of everything. But when it was time for me to be present, I was present though. But then it was still like, okay, is this a dude she just with, or is this the father of the kids? But hell, they got my last name. Yeah, they mine, but it's like still they'll overlook us though. Yeah, when he said, definitely it'll happen plenty of times where it's like, oh, you here? Like, so yeah, so definitely.
Do you care to?
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Yeah, my take, I definitely 100%, 100% think it's worth discussing. It reminds me of that West African proverb that, until lions have their own historians, the tale of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. I think a similar theory is applied here. Until we, Black African American fathers, start to tell our own story, then other people are left to interpret our story. And so, I think it's important to get our perspective out there to change this narrative. I know a lot of really capable and successful young Black men and Black fathers, but none of us own networks. None of us own, well, one of us owns radio stations. None of us own these medium to communicate. And so the people who have more influence and control over there are kind of controlling the narrative. And so I think this is important. So that's why I'm grateful for you and this opportunity for the Father's Advocate, because it allows us to tell our own story.
Okay, I love it. You all saw the statistics from the CDC. Was that a shocking observation about Black fathers?
No,
I
it
would
wasn't
say
shocking to
no.
me.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
it wasn't. Yeah. And
Really?
the only reason I say that is because I realize that a lot of times the narrative is already that Black men are not present. When I go to my child's school, when they have donuts for dads, stuff like that, there are plenty of Black dads there. We don't hear about it.
Mhm.
However, because the narrative that they want to push is that we're absent. I don't know who it is benefiting. Clearly, it is benefiting someone. That's the reason why this narrative is being pushed. So, like I said, I was not surprised.
Okay, Cameron, you said you weren't surprised either, right?
That's correct. I think the lawyer in me is requiring me to at least state the counter of why it wasn't surprising to me personally, and I don't think it would shock or surprise many of my friends and dads that I know. But again, the narrative is being out there, but that narrative is also true for a reason. As involved as I am, and as present of a Black dad I try to be, certainly, like just like Brother Darren said, it is true that my wife does the majority of the heavy lifting, and she is the one who is present for most of the drop-offs, pickups, and most of the doctor's appointments, etc. But certainly when I do show up, sometimes it feels like there's an assumption that we don't know, won't know, not involved, etc. But I understand where that comes from, because again, there's no doubt that I still think that women are carrying a majority of that load. And then the other thing, Ella, as our in our professional lives as attorneys, I think the 80s and some of the policies and procedures that were in place, particularly around non-violent drug offenses, there was a decade or two of mass amounts of incarceration of Black men. And there was a decade of two where drugs were rampant and hit our community. And certainly there are pockets where I have other friends from quote unquote the other side of the tracks, and to be honest, yes, several of them didn't grow up with their fathers. But I think that's also related to over policing and mass incarceration, at least to some extent. So I understand why it's shocking to others, but certainly to me personally, and anyone who I'm really close with, those statistics about how involved Black dads were would not shock us.
Well, I tell you, I'm surprised because it's so publicized, because it counters the narrative. And only folks that really have a desire to know the truth, which unfortunately there are not a lot, they're not going to know that. And I agree, there is more benefit to keep spreading the lies of the narrative than it is to tell the truth, which is one of the reasons and the mission of the Father's Advocate, because it's just not true. I want to ask the question: are most of the men in y'all's lives fathers, and are they active?
Yes. Well, no, wait, hold on. Yeah. A majority of my friends are people that I know are fathers, with a few exceptions, but yeah, and are active. I don't, for one, with me, I'm not gonna what's the word I'm looking for? Not entertain, but associate. There we go. Associate myself with deadbeat people, deadbeat dads. We're just
Yeah,
gonna be honest. I got a couple friends that don't have kids, but the ones that I do, they are highly involved with their kids. So if
yeah,
you're not involved, ain't no point me being around you. If you skipping out on taking care of your kids, we ain't got nothing in common because I take care of my kids. I mean, my wife is split up, I'm gonna take care of my kids. So yeah, yeah. Most of the people I know, yeah, they do take care of their kids, are involved.
yeah. Having done this so long and in my office as an attorney, and doing this as a Father's Advocate, I have been hearing a lot of fathers that are active in their children's life. They don't associate with deadbeats because my understanding is that that goes against everything you believe. Is that a
Hmm.
fair assessment? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So you guys also saw the video with the imam.
That we meet, especially African Americans, they don't even know their fathers. They don't even know their fathers. It was all of them, most of them were the product of one night stand. One night stand. They will tell you, I don't know my father. Well, who named you? Whose name are you carrying? Well, my mother chose his name for me. I don't know. Is that what we want for our ummah?
Okay, so I'm gonna preface it. So you guys may know I actually did a video on that, and to say the least, that imam really got under my skin. Oh, glory be to God. So, and I'm still not over it. I'm still not over it for a number of reasons. But what is it that you guys think about that video?
Yeah,
Well,
let me
okay.
go first. Yeah.
Okay.
So I understand what he said, but for me, I think the information that he has probably been fed is based on what he's getting from here. And that's why he made the comment that he made. Normally, people only tell you information based on what they have experienced or what they have heard. And for that guy, I'm pretty sure he's not in the United States. Hence the reason I'm saying he's probably getting information which has always been happening in the United States. Because when I wasn't living here before, I used to see things and I used to have the concept that this was how things were. But then when you come, you realize that one, a lot of people become deadbeat because they probably don't have the finances to fight certain things. They probably don't have the guidance. There's a lot that goes into it. And that's why I personally don't look at it from just one perspective to say, oh, this person is this way because that's who they are. It's based on the circumstances. So that's my take on that. But like I said, he's probably just misinformed. Hence the reason he's here educating other people based on the misinformation that he has.
So I want to preface, I should have prefaced it before, because as an attorney, I research. I don't just take stuff and just go with it. And I'll
Hmm.
say that I preface it by saying this is an imam. And as an imam, you are a leader in the community. You have an obligation to speak on what you know about. And just FYI, he's considered a scholar. I don't know if all imams are scholars, but he's considered a scholar. He's from he's from um, Somalia, but he lived in Saudi Arabia. He has lived in the United States, and now he is in Canada. So he's been here. He actually did an apology. He went on some kind of apology tour. Interesting enough, he did not, even when someone brought it to his attention that the statement he made was offensive, he still doubled down that it wasn't offensive. But if Black Americans were to feel like it was offensive, he apologized. And I don't know if it's the woman in me or the Black woman in me or just the lawyer, whatever it is. I was more pissed by his apology because it was more like, it was gaslighting, because he essentially was saying, you know, there are some people that's going to highlight it and sensationalize it versus just accept it for what it is. I'm like, the audacity of you bringing your hind parts to America and telling, you know, saying this stuff when you have no evidence. And if you guys notice, the men in the video, they were shocked when they heard that. So I'm offended by it, you know, because that's essentially saying that my mom had a one night stand with a dude she didn't know, and I don't know who my dad is. And you're saying that about everybody. Interesting thing enough, and I let it go, but I do want, you know, the rest of your comments. I have relatives, I got a lot of brothers, and two of them didn't think it was a problem. So I don't know what that means, but it really, really pissed me off.
Yeah, I thought it was terrible. I mean, again, understanding experiences matter, right? So again, I have cousins who still live in socioeconomically depressed areas, and I would say them in that area and the other people who are around them, again, a majority in that particular neighborhood, in that particular environment, a majority of them don't know their fathers, and even them who are fathers, they have relationships with different women who are the mothers of their children. And so, but again, circumstantial. None of them, I don't even think the women or the children feel that they're absent. They're still around, they're still involved, maybe not to the level that I am. But again, if you are only dealing with a certain subset of people in a specific area, then maybe that affects their viewpoint. But again, the statistics would say something else. My life experiences says something else. And so that goes back to your point of why it's so important for us to tell the story. So, and then the assumption of the one night stand thing, like, you don't know, a majority of the brothers I know who are not with the mothers of their children, they were in relationship when they got pregnant or whatever, and just the relationship didn't work. But that's just life. That's just human. That's just people. So this idea of a one night stand and it's just a bunch of baby daddies, baby mamas out here, that I thought that was completely bogus and uncalled for and unfounded.
See, so with me, I don't. That's why I don't do religion. See, all that right there, and it's not that I don't believe in God. Just my, I just don't do, because now you going off of something that, like you said, you heard or reading up on rather than actually coming to experience it. You know, now we know stuff do happen. What about the person that don't know their dad because their dad got killed in the line of duty or got, something happened. So that wasn't, I mean, a one night thing. It just happened. Some people don't know they father could, yes, their father might have could have been from a one night stand or could have got killed, whatever. Like I said, people grow apart. But that dude right there, yeah, that's why. Yeah, and then you preaching that, having them other idiots sitting out there. Oh, really? Like, come on, for real. Like, think for yourself, So that's why I'm like, yeah, I swear, I'm biting my tongue right now because it'll be cussing going on like crazy. But yeah, it's. I mean, but you gotta look at it. Everybody goes through that. It ain't just black people. White people do one night stands. Asian people, Indian people. Hell, probably them Somalians do one night stands. Duh. I'm like, like they just gonna be just like voted to one for everybody do something they ain't supposed to do, But they ain't all the only result of how kids come about though. But yeah, with him, kick rocks. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I agree. And just to last on that particular video, again, I did my research because that's what I do. And I started researching the Somali community. And they, like you said, I have on another channel, I did a video that talks about don't throw stones in a glass house because their community is quite interesting. And their religion, and I guess transparency, I grew up as a Muslim. So I was around imams. And this is disheartening. Now, I'm an American Muslim, maybe not from Somalia, but I actually grapple a lot with even trying to put this on online because I grew up to respect and revere them. But this pissed me off, really pissed me off. But in that particular community, they have a lot of women that are single mothers on welfare. And they may have been married, but in that particular group, they're allowed to actually have multiple wives, and it's just not as good. Again, my position is don't throw stone in a glass house. Okay. But anyway, let's move past that. Okay. You also saw another video. Did y'all think she was accurate? What you think about that video?
Involved Black fathers piss people off, and I know why. Go ahead and follow this page because I'm about to break something down. Black fathers like Deion Sanders, LeVar Ball, and even LeBron James are often resented by sports organizations, sports media, and also people who give endorsement deals. And here's why. They hated Deion Sanders because he was so good and they couldn't do anything about it. For LeVar Ball, they hated his pride in his sons. They saw that as arrogance instead of seeing it as support. And now LeBron James, they hate him because they believe he paved a way for Bronny that Bronny didn't deserve. But let's get beyond the personality conflicts and talk about what's really at stake here and what's really going on. People don't like Black fathers being involved because they know when a Black father is involved, you can't take advantage of their son or their child like you could if the Black father wasn't involved. You can't give them the slave deal. You can't misrepresent them. You can't steal from them because their father has already been around that block twice. So now the real issue as to why you don't like Black fathers being involved, because it takes away your power. And to that I say, for every Black player who has ever been misrepresented and robbed, I love Bronny James in the NBA. I love it for him and I love it for us. For all the hate that Shedeur Sanders is getting because of his father and not because of anything that he has actually done, I love what he was able to do in playing the Raiders. You can't deny his talent. To the Black fathers out there, I say, stay involved in your kids' lives, whether they play sports or if they don't, whether they're boys or they're girls, whether they came by accident or intended. You guys make a difference. Show up and be present.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's
true.
true.
Tell me
Oh,
why.
yeah.
Tell me why.
Because fathers are there as protectors. And not only protectors, guidance, and they're also there to provide stability. So if a father is not there in the child's life, anything is possibly happening. In a lot of cases, if a father is not in the home and the mom takes another guy inside the home, the child is vulnerable. Because now anything can happen to the child. The child is not, the guy is not going to look at that child as, hey, this is my seed. It's just like a lion. If he comes in at pride, he's going to kill that cub. So if you as the biological father is there for that child, the same kind of hardships, the child isn't going to face that, or they're less likely to face that challenge.
Or possibly
Yeah.
if they have the challenge, they know how to overcome it, right? And can overcome it better, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But see, that touch on what you talking about, Brian. But now it also play a role to like, okay, when your kids are younger, they probably will listen to you more. I ain't gonna lie, man. I got these teenagers, and you probably know when your daughter got older, the one that's in college, stuff started to change. You ain't know everything. They also boil down to if your kid's gonna listen to you. With me, and it wasn't because my daddy ruled with an iron fist. I listened because I learned stuff from him. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of like I'll kind of go into it, but like when I was 7 or 8 years old, I told my daddy a particular people, they're okay, daddy. They all right. First thing my dad told me, keep living. I will be honest with you. I'm like 7, 8 years. I'm like, yeah, what kind of answer is that? Keep living. As I got older, I seen what my daddy meant by it. So I felt like Yeah, my dad protected me on that one for real because I sure was like, they cool, dad, they good. No, keep living. So it's with any situation. So it's like if your child is gonna listen to you, like with me, like I said, with me coming in with my wife's son, my son, yes, some fathers will not, stepdads that jump in will not protect that child like they're theirs, and it just depends on how long you've been there. I've been there since my son was 2. Some stepdads were buttholes, they're their stepchildren. But I know I didn't want to be there. I wanted to raise you as you were mine because I know my dad, his dad wasn't around. He called his daddy by his first name, and then he called his stepdad dad. Whenever he would tell me stuff, my daddy taught me this. I already knew who he was talking about. When he said Henry, oh, that was that dude that he didn't care about really, but he knew that was his daddy though. So yeah, but
I thought that video was super impactful. She was talking about, so Deion Sanders, great athlete. His son's a great athlete. He trained him. The Ball father, his sons all built multi-millionaire like online presence and shoe deals and etc. And LeBron, and I think some of my favorite heroes in history are Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and James Baldwin. And one thing that all of those brothers had in common, they were all called like uppity Negroes. And there's something about society not appreciating or having conflict with or being scared of when a black man or black person stands up for themselves intelligently and shows up in a certain way. And I think that what she was talking about, or what's behind that message, is this idea that black fathers can empower black kids. So you can tell a kid, no, you can't do that to me. You can't talk to me like that because my daddy taught me better. My parents taught me better. And I think that there's a pushback in society when a young black kid says, no, I'm not doing that because I know better. And it's like, oh, well, now they're a problem. Now they are non-cooperative. Now they are a menace, or now they are uppity. We don't use that term anymore, but they use it in different ways. And so I think what she's talking about is the empowerment that black fathers can give, the knowledge, to Brother Philip's point, the knowledge, the care, the insight, the protection, the providing, the stability. When a child is grown up with that level of emotional and intelligent and educational stability, they can take off, and sometimes that might rub people the wrong way. So that's kind of what I took from it. I thought it was a powerful example.
You know what, Cameron? When you said the uppity Negro, that's gonna be another topic. The
yeah,
uppity Negro,
but
America's response.
but he right though. But he right though, cause man, you know what? And this ain't even on the top, but it just like I was just looking at something earlier when they was talking about. I know we all know about the movie Boomerang.
Mhm.
They did not want to get if you the dude was saying like it didn't get any kind of notoriety because you know what? Oh, black people don't be successful. Black people don't live in no penthouse. They don't have good jobs, this and that. So it's the same thing if you look at it when a black father's in the house raising their children, especially raising them the right way. We ain't no gang bangers, this and that, So we teaching our kids, hey, go to work, do what you want, go to school. However, you know what I'm saying? They don't want that from us. All they want is really us not to be around, not to be trying to teach our kids anything. They're just like, I feel like the ones that stay in trouble, like, and we'll say from college with football or whatever, making stupid decisions. A majority, I don't really see their daddies around, and it's like your mama can only teach you so much. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say a woman can't teach a boy how to do right for wrong or whatever though, but also she can't teach him how to be a man. We're not 100%. And if you ain't got no good role models being around for him, because you think about it, every time one of these athletes in the news, and I ain't gonna say it's 100% accurate now, so I'm not saying it's accurate, but you mainly see just the mother. We hate when they judge us about our, because our skin color, this and that though, but it's like you fall right into the trap though by sitting there doing stupid stuff though. They're just like my dad didn't have to teach about not going to rob a bank. I could turn on the news and like, oh dang, you go to jail when you get caught for doing that. We got a brain, use it. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it's use it. That's it. God
Okay.
gave it to us for a reason. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay, Mr. Bryant, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to jump on what Mr. Hawkins was saying. about empowerment, because for me, I think that was a very, very strong point. Because if we empower our kids, it means that other people look at it as very threatening. And if it is going to overturn certain things for them, then it's going to create a society that they're probably not going to fit in. So it is very good for them to keep us in the position that we are in by not empowering us. And like he said earlier, it is very good that you are here trying to educate other fathers so we can also empower our kids to be in a better position. So very good point.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What impact do you think fathers have on the children? Actually, I think you guys have pretty much said that already. But do you have anything else to add to that?
Man, I think that's got a lot of impact. If you good, I'm gonna say that now. Like I said, can't be no game. Hey, son, you need to come out here and do what I'm doing. Nah, but we do need to break the stereotype that we ain't, about nothing, or at the end of the day, like I said, I pushed my kids about going to college? No. If they want to go, will I help them along the way? Yes. But I'm also gonna be that one trying to guide them, like, man, go to school for something that's gonna be worth going for, though. Now I'm a true believer in that, though. You tell me you're going to school for radio. I'm like really? Like, we need more doctors, lawyers, people that can advocate for us. So I'm not gonna sit up there and say, like college is useless. So I'm not saying that, but to a certain degree, don't pile up debt. But at the same time, like when I was in school, we never learned about other stuff where you can make more money. Like being a plumber, being a carpenter, building stuff. We want to talk that. I learned all that stuff from my daddy. Though, where I wish I would have pushed myself more to have done something different. Which now I'm pushing that on my kids, but for the most part, we are needed. We are not the same. We are not criminals, people that just run off and, hey, one night stand. He pregnant? Holla. No, we don't do all that. So it needs to be narrowed down that we are all the same. We're genuine people, that take care of their kids. We don't run away. So, all right, I'm gonna stop talking so they can talk to. I'm sorry, because I'll keep going. All right.
Okay, anybody else have any comments about that?
Yeah, and I'll open up another can of worms for y'all. I think that you talked about the impact, right, that Black fathers have, right? So, we talked about safety, protection, providing. I also think that there's a healthy amount of research and statistical data that talks about when fathers generally are present, the amount of emotional regulation, the amount of the average IQ, confidence, stability, and modeling what I think is healthy masculinity. I think that now this one's gonna be all right. I'm gonna have to watch myself if I open up in my name. But even to my sisters or the people who kind of say that they, well, women who want to celebrate Father's Day because they are the dad, right? That kind of a thing. I completely understand where they're getting that from. I completely understand why they're saying that. I empathize with that. I do disagree with that respectfully. I think that like Brother Darren said earlier, like you moms. It's funny. I was watching Boys in the Hood, one of my old school movies, and I didn't realize it was Lawrence Fishburne and Angela Bassett were Trey's parents. For some reason, like when I watch it now, like that didn't hit me in the '90s, but and they had a conversation when she dropped the boy off and was like, here's your son. You wanted him, you got him. Because you're right, I can't teach him how to be a man. And I think that women are amazing teachers and guiders for children, period, regardless of gender. But there is certainly something about, and again, this is statistical. There's math, there's studies on this about what having a male presence in a child's life does for emotional regulation, IQ, and emotional security. So EQ and IQ, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And I think that piece has to be discussed.
And I totally agree, because even with my kids, like they will tell you, they learn a lot being from a man. Because when a man says something to whether a girl or a boy, they respond differently. A child who knows that the mommy is not going to react or do anything, she will look at you or he and say, hey, they're not going to do anything and do the opposite of what you tell them to do. So being a father and being in a household, it's necessary. Having that healthy fear is necessary.
Cameron, you're right. You did open up another can. And I don't know if you guys see me doing this. I'm writing down stuff. So another topic is women that celebrate Father's Day. And in that, I also thought about women who walk their daughters down the aisle. Is that a thing?
I ain't seen. Please don't let that be a thing. You know what though? Never mind, 'cause you're right. That's another good subject, and I do want to be involved because I got a problem with that. I really do. That no, you can't teach a boy how to be a man. I'm sorry, I can't teach a girl how to be a woman. I don't have something that happen once a month. I do not. I'm gonna look at you like, man, I don't know. You better research YouTube. I mean, I'm sorry. It's certain stuff that we cannot do. So yes, that would be another good topic. Please put me on that. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna I gotta do a timeout because Darren, like I
Okay.
said, comedian is another your title. I'm trying to hold off from crying. I don't know if you saw it earlier, but I'm like tears in my eyes. You are funny. Okay, so we're wrapping up. I just got a few more, just one or two other questions. You all said it earlier, but tell me some memorable moments that you guys had as fathers.
Cool. Seeing my son graduate high school finally. Not finally, like he was like 5 years still, and like, dang, he ain't done yet. But yes, seeing him graduate, knowing that my oldest daughter, she's graduating this year, and my baby girl, who next year, like those gonna be some memorable moments for real. And teaching them stuff, especially because I'm into racing and I got my kids off into racing. Baby girl was a little trying to fight it. She was scared of the cars at first. Now she into it. So we know, at least we go to the track every year on Mother's Day weekend. We go to the drift show. Yes. But those are the memorable moments for me, having my kids and partaking on stuff that I like and learning from me as well. All right, I'm done. Okay.
Okay, anybody else have any memorable moments?
Yeah, like I said, I'm big in fitness, and just having and seeing my little ones and the eldest one like just wanting to participate and actually trying to live a healthy life. Like for me, it sometimes is very intriguing and funny at times because, like I said, I have a stationary bike and a rowing machine in my room. And sometimes I'll see the smaller one put on my big size 11 boot and stuck her little foot in it and climb on the bike and start doing her little rowing or little cycling. And I'm just looking at her and just smiling. So for me, it's a joy just watching them doing certain little things.
That
Yeah,
sounds joyful. That really does. What
it
about you,
is.
Cameron?
Yeah, so slightly different than the one that I mentioned earlier is that again, I work long, crazy hours, right? As an entrepreneur, any entrepreneur works crazy hours. Any lawyer works crazy hours, and as a judge, lawyer, entrepreneur, it's it's really crazy. I had a friend, unfortunately, maybe 3 years ago, his mother passed away, and what he told me in that moment was, Cameron, take videos. He's like, I know people take pictures and pictures are great. He's like, but the one thing that's been really getting me through this moment are the videos where I get to hear my mama's voice. I get to see her in that moment before we took the picture and X, Y, and Z. And so one of the things that I started doing after he told me that was I started turning on the recorder when I come home, when I know they're still up. And I mean, I'm talking about, and again, I'm a girl dad, right? And so when I get that, and they run up to me and they jump and they scream, and like sometimes the neighbors will come outside because my little one screams and gets so excited. And so like I, as an older father who is a little more emotionally regulated, there's pros and cons about being an older dad. I don't have the energy to run around and play catch like a 20-year-old either, but there's something about that moment when I come home from a long day and my girls rush down the stairs to come greet me and hug me and kiss me. I know at some point it'll stop, but right now at ages 4 and 8, it is like the highlight of their day. And so no matter what kind of day I had, no matter how rough things might have been, when I come home and get that, it really makes me feel good.
Okay,
Can I
go
just,
ahead.
yeah, just interject one last time?
Sure.
So when you said recording, I remembered something because I record both my girls all the time, like when we're out doing stuff. And I remember when I started teaching the smallest one to read, and we started doing some math. And she was there doing her thing, and she counting on her little fingers, and she did her little subtraction, and she put the answer and then said, "No, that's not the answer." And she erased it. And then I said, "Why are you second guessing yourself?" And then she went ahead and put back the answer. And then I said, "Well, you have the answer, so stop doubting yourself." And she cheered, "Yeah." And for me, I found a lot of joy in it because I'm like, I'm teaching her this, and I'm also teaching her to not second guess yourself, don't doubt yourself. So there's a lot in being a dad, I must say.
Okay, you all are girl dads. I saw this video where this dad he had all three of his girls in front of a chalkboard, and he was essentially saying, if a man come up to you and he don't have his stuff together, shut him down. If he come to you and say he just trying to have fun, shut him down. If he doesn't have X, Y, Z, shut him down. So just hearing me, or just for, I'm just curious, even from moms that are listening, as girl dads, what are some things that you guys can say? And just preface, I heard of a woman like online. She said the very thing that a lot of men complain about is what her dad taught her not to stay away from. So all you guys have girls. I think each one of you have two girls each, right? Yeah. So I'm just curious, what are some stuff that you all talk about as dads of girls? And I see Cameron. Woo! Cameron, I want you
Chomping
to
at
go
the
first.
bit. Chomping at the bit. Now, let me preface it again. I gotta be honest. I'm the most ignorant on this topic because these brothers got older girls, and so I'm on some future thinking, forward thinking, and they're actually in the moment. So maybe my comments aren't based in reality, but the kind of guy I am, I plan to keep it a buck with my girls. I mean, I want to be honest with them. This is also a loaded topic for me because again, having gone to law school and my sisters in medicine, and so like there to your point about the women's comments, there is something unfair that we do to our girls, particularly in our community, right? So if a little black girl, again, I'm Southern too, so let me preface it with that. So most of the, generalized speaking, most of the Southern black girls I know were brought up in a similar way. Go to church, be a good girl, get good grades, stay away from them the hard-headed boys, whoop whoop de whoop. And the moment, and I'm talking about the very moment that young lady did all of that and graduated from med school, graduated from law school, then we turn to those same girls and say, "Why aren't you married, girl? What happened? What's the problem?" And so like, and I found it because I deal with a lot of professional women, they find it difficult to date. And so I'm trying to walk all of that as I think future about what I tell my girls. And so I don't want to be, I'm not going to come up with a list of a do and a don't. What I'm hoping and praying is that my example is enough. What I'm hoping and praying is that they've been to enough nice restaurants. They've been on a little first class fight. So you just can't swoop my baby off her feet with some sparkly thing. I want my daughters to have discernment. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to keep it a buck with them. That man is approaching you like that, baby, and this is what he's on. Like, and I'll talk to him like that. I think my wife might be more squeamish to have them conversations than I am. So it's an interesting dynamic there. So I can't wait to help navigate them as they get older and start to navigate these other parts of life. But I just want to say it's a topic that I think is so unfair what we do to our black girls about, stay down, stay good, be good, go to school, ignore them hard-headed boys, and then it's why ain't you married? Like we gotta. So as a father, again, right now, I don't think I'm gonna shy my girls away from sex or alcohol. Hey, baby, sex is a beautiful thing, and it's a
Man,
powerful thing, and it's a spiritual thing. And so, what I want for you is not to never have sex. What I want for you is to be emotionally ready for it. What I want for you is to have discernment with this man that you're with. What I want for you is to understand the scope of the consequences of what you're doing. That's what I want. But I think if you tell your daughters to wait till they're 60 to have sex, that's just silly.
man,
And so, and that's not what the human body was designed for. So look, babe, you can have your little drink. Don't be addicted to alcohol. You can have your little sex, but make sure you understand fully what that means. And so that's what I want to say. But again, I don't got teenagers and all that. So I'll pass
man.
the
But
mic to
you
the
own it
brothers.
though. But you own it though. You're right. I agree with you. I don't mean to cut you off, but I agree with you. Boy, I get so much slack about that camera, man. I can't lie. One thing about it, don't lie to the kids. That's the first and most important thing. I'm gonna be honest. Y'all might find it. Y'all gonna see faces. I was like 7, 8 years old when I lost my virginity. I was out there being don't make them eyes. Yeah, being stupid, But when my kids came to ask me how old I was when I lost my virginity, I didn't lie. I told them. But I feel like kill curiosity by answering questions, cause they're gonna be curious. Did I just do that one time? No, that was more than one time. So it's like, okay, y'all want to do something? I'm not gonna sit there and tell y'all can't, you know, because I don't want to lie and say, oh, you need to be a virgin on your wedding. I ain't finna lie, cause I was not. So yes, definitely be honest with your kids. Like with my girls, I don't try to hold back nothing. We got to, you know, be in touch with our girls, you know what I'm saying? Especially we want them to be a certain way, or we are, stand up men. So you want to make sure they get with a stand up man. You don't want them with it. I will say this, no, like I didn't approve of dreads at first, and I'm gonna say why. Because you mainly saw hood dudes with dreads, all pants showing their dirty drawers. I'm like, what the? Don't bring that home. But then I had to learn educated with dreads. Okay, you got to change that narrative, because now I was falling into the stereotype of what other people think. But they ain't all black men. Just because they got dreads don't mean they ain't up to no good. So yes, but I did instill into my girls, like, stay away from these particular people, but definitely, you can do this. You know what I'm saying? And it's not even about, I would hope my daughters would stay and find a good black man, but at the same time, any man could be good. So make sure you find a man that's gonna be a man, take care of his responsibilities, not gonna run out, not gonna do this, not gonna do that. So I'm not gonna keep going, because I know I keep going. You already said something about. All right, go ahead, Mr. Brian. I'm sorry.
Add to it because, first of all, Darren, I have locks, and Cameron have locks.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
I'm joking actually, because I'm not
yeah.
about it. But just a side note on that, I had a judge in juvenile court, Cameron, that told a young man that he needs to cut out his locks so he can be successful. He was not my client. And when he said that, he had already cut it out. And I was like, I really wish you had not. But I understand that belief, because even when I came back to Georgia, I had folks who were like, yeah, that's stuff in your head and you want to be professional. But I also want to add, Cameron, again, you open up some more doors. So there's the dad girls. And I love the whole thing about how we teach our girls how to be something. But then when they become women and educated, we then say bad things about them. Where's your husband? As if something is wrong with them. So those would be a few other topics. And if you don't mind, I would like for your input. I mean, it was very, very insightful, but I'm going to stop. But Mr. Brian, you were going to say something. Go ahead.
Yes. So I was going to touch on what they both said, because I do believe, like, with kids, for my two girls, like, I'll take them on date nights where I'll take them to restaurants. I'll treat them, because I want them to have that experience so they understand what it is like, and not think when somebody else comes along and says, hey, I'm going to trick you into, or lure them into doing certain things, because they have not had that experience. So I try to give them the experiences that they can say, hey, I have seen this before, and I'm not fazed by it. So give you a story. My eldest daughter, she has her own car right now. And the other day I was going to go to Lake Spivey to go do my daily walks, right? And she had called me and said, oh, she was going to head to the park. So I said, okay. I said, I'm heading to the park too. So she asked me what park I was going. I said, I'm headed to Lake Spivey. So she said, oh, she's headed to Lake Spivey too, but she's going to be there with a friend. So I said, okay, all right, no problem. So I got there, and when I saw she was there with a young man, and I was like, okay, okay. So I didn't say anything. I said, okay, I introduced myself. He introduced himself. I said, all right, you guys going to go ahead and do your walk. I said, all right, I'll catch up with you guys. After they were done, the guy said if it was okay for us to go have dinner. So I said, all right, let's go dinner. And I heard what he had to say, and we did our little talking, yada yada yada. After everything was done, I asked him, I said, hey, I'll drop you home because he was riding with her. So I said to her, you can head back to the house. I'll drop him off. But that was my turn now to investigate and find out what's going on. So I did my little investigation, found out about him, and I asked her what was going on. And she said, yeah, she trying to date and figure out things. And I said, okay, I'm not hiding it from her. I'm not going to stop you because I know how kids are. When you tell them not to do something, that's exactly what they're going to do. So, like I said, I'm here to guide, but you can't control what these kids are going to do.
Okay, last questions. There are a lot of dads that's listening. There are a lot of moms that are listening. There are dads that are in the court system trying to get, time with their children. And there are some dads that just don't know where to go. What kind of wisdom can you guys impart and our listeners?
I got one for you. Choose your partner wisely. That's the first thing right there. If you don't know her that well, it's called a condom. Called a plan B. I ain't saying I believe in boy, but it's called a plan B. But use a condom. Get to know that person. Stop being stupid. Quit putting your thing in anything that moves or crawl or walk. But then too, learn how to listen. If you're dealing with a lady, a real lady, learn how to listen. I ain't saying the other women ain't real ladies though, but make sure you learn though what you are messing with though, for real. If y'all do decide to break up, go y'all separate ways, figure it out. Best way I can put it, figure it out. Don't sit up there and just do the fighting, this and that. If y'all need to talk with some people, whatever. But learn how to get along. Be there for your kids. That's the main thing. They need us. They want us. So please be there for your kids. All right, I'm done. All right.
So I agree totally with what he said. What I realized that actually works because once the person that you married is not the person that you divorced. Because if the person that you divorced was the person that you married, you'd have never got with that person in the beginning. So my thing is, once you guys realize what it is, and you know that you have no interest in this person anymore, just let it strictly be about the kids. If you're still thinking about what the other person is doing, you're going to have problems. Forget you and this person we used to be lovers, we used to be friends. Forget all of that. It's not the same person. Forget all of that. Strictly the kids. If you think only about the kids, you'll be all right.
Yeah, I agree 100% with what they said. Powerful statements from them both. I would say two things to my dads in particular. Your presence matters more than perfection. I struggle with that in other aspects of life. Excuse me. I want things to be perfect before I move or ideal before I do a thing. Perfect and ideal rarely comes. But again, the statistics would say that just having the father around has an impact, both intelligent and emotional. And the other thing I would say from the heart, because I talk to when you're the lawyer in your friend's crew, you get called for everything. So I don't do family law. If I get a family law question, I send it to the father's advocate. But what I would say is dads don't give up. Just like these brothers hinted on, like that relationship may or may not, because I know some brothers who are getting divorced who are divorced who have very negative relationships with the mother of their children.
Mm-hmm.
And those dads have allowed that to affect the interaction with the children. But again, no blame, shame, or guilt about that, because if these two people can't get along and every time y'all are at each other and every time you're doing subtle, disrespectful, passive aggressive stuff to each other, that makes it hard to do anything else. So I'm not judging you, but dads, don't give up. Your presence matters. be there, keep trying, because at some point in time, we'll all, prayfully, if you live long enough, like Brother Darren's dad, my grandpa and dad told me the same thing, keep living. If you live long enough, there'll be a point in time when these kids in that relationship is going to have a flip, and it's going to be more important. They're going to be more important to us than we are to them. And what you do today matters for that. So I know it's tough. So for the dads who, like my dear friends who are going through the toughness, the tough kind of breakup or the tough relationship now, it matters. Keep fighting. If there's something worth fighting for, it's your legacy. So keep fighting for your kids. That would be my thing.
You made something else, the legacy. That's another topic. Okay, I really appreciate you guys. For you guys that are listening or watching us on YouTube, I really hope that this has been informative, that you learned something from it. You can check out all of our channels on YouTube. Podcast is actually on anywhere you get podcasts. And I leave you, as I always do, our motto, our mission is simply to change the negative stereotypes of the Black community, to bring fathers back in home. I honestly do believe this can happen. I do believe it. Now I leave you again with my tagline, I guess, is don't stop fighting. Your children do need you.